separated, right, legally?
No, we weren't.
And you all were living together.
We were living together as a couple, as husband and wife.
So why you wanted to remarry?
A real person, right or wrong, I have a man who not only accepts his flaws or mistakes, but has the guts to speak about them.
हमारे साथ especially, there's been a million things that have happened. If you think of any scenario between a couple, it's happened between us.
I love the person I am today. I love the person he's become.
If I genuinely look at somebody and I say, I want to have the willpower and the internal strength, it's this woman right here.
Amit Tandon and Ruby Tandon, thank you so much for joining me on Times Network. This is an interview I've been waiting for a very, very long time.
We as well.
I think it's been about 3-4 years?
4 years, and all the more reason now because you have remarried.
Yes.
And that really took me by surprise. I did not expect, I don't think anybody expected.
Actually, yeah.
And there's always this little bit of cynicism in everybody that okay, they've got together back, okay, let's see how it goes. And it really was a pleasant surprise. Of course, now tell us, where did this happen? Why did you get married for the second time? Whom did you call?
So what I've learned from the second marriage now is पहले आप बोलना चाहेंगी तो please.
He's finally gotten it.
Okay.
We're learning.
It's taken him just 17 years
Okay.
to finally get it.
17 साल के बाद
No,
सीख गया.
first of all, thank you, for being here. And like I promised you years ago, the day I choose to sit down and do this, it'll be only with you. Because over the years, we grew a bond between us, which is a friendship, where I saw a journalist think beyond just his job. I understood the human behind you, and hence I'm open. Otherwise, my take on media. And right or wrong, I am a private person. Yes, in a very commercial, professional work, but I like to keep, there's a line which can be cliche, keep it private till it's permanent. So I choose to believe that, and hence here we are today. And when we got back together, somewhere it was in my heart that he decided to be with me because at that point I needed someone who was familiar. And while we were separated, he stood up for me like no other, more than a family could, more than a friend could. And that took away the bitterness of our separation from my heart. And then we re-initiated a relationship. It wasn't on the sake just for our daughter. It was more that we both became friends with each other. And it went on, took obviously a lot more. And anytime you have to deal with the past, it's a task which isn't easy to get over. So it took us time, but it grew our bond where we're literally bare souls with each other. We are each other's best friends. I like to believe that, but I'm sure considering the number of friends my husband has, I'm probably uno. And so we became that person. And I think as today's world, we give up too easily. We don't know where to let go. And we've always been the type who kind of stand out in the crowd. That comes with the responsibility. That comes with a lot of learning. And your mistakes have to become your lessons. Only then you evolve and grow. So as we both were going through our life together, and it was in my heart that I want him to ask me. So I prayed. I never told him to ask me to get remarried. I just prayed. I said, I want him to ask me, and it should come from his heart. So God put it in his heart.
But you all are not separated, right? Legally?
No, we weren't.
And you all were living together.
We were living together as a couple, as husband and wife.
So why you wanted to remarry?
So So what happened was, when we initially filed for divorce a few years back, I think in both of our hearts, we had decided that we will be separate. We will live our own lives. I think in both of our minds, we had thought that this is the end. But like they say, life has its own way of dealing a different hand to you. And what I did see at the time that we were separated was it had a very heavy effect on my child. We have a daughter together, and me seeing that journey of hers, especially in the time that Ruby was away from her, and even just the times that I was away from her, you know, being when you're separated, फिर कुछ वक्त आपके पास होती है, कुछ वक्त मम्मी के पास होती है, so that divided, you know, ability to see your child really has an effect. So I think when we actually filed for divorce and we thought that we would be separated, she's right. When she was coming back from Dubai, in many ways, in my mind, it was a sacrifice for my child, but also in my mind, it was that she needs somebody now to be able to, you know, get herself back on her feet. So I think initially that was how we both kind of understood it. But as time went on, we realized that there's a bond here that is so inseparable कि दुनिया में कुछ भी हो जाए, and मतलब हमारे साथ especially, there's been a million things that have happened. If you think of any scenario between a couple, it's happened between us. But still, it's like you go in a different, like आपको right जाना है, आप left जाके फिर भी आप उसी जगह, you still meet back there. I can make a U-turn, I'll still come back to that same point. So at some point I realized that, listen, there's a higher power that is sending you these signals that beta tu kidhar bhi ja, you're going to come right back here. And I think once we got to that understanding, is when I feel, you know, one thing that we had discussed was that in God's eyes, we had in our mind, in our heart, humko tha ke alag, you know, alag hona hai, we're, you know, so we've separated from the heart. Yes, dunya ke liye we got back together, but I felt like there was still something missing. So I think once, it's going to sound very filmy, but I guess in my case it's okay कि जब दो दिल actually मिल जाते हैं and you come to that understanding, I think that's the point where I realized कि listen, हमको वापस एक बार, we should get, just हमारे vows को renew करना चाहिए, you know. And
does it help you to, you know, put the past really behind you? Because when you do the second marriage and, you know, take it afresh, does it help literally, I mean, psychologically, mentally?
I will give you the
That's
best.
what I'm trying to
I'll give you the best example of it.
you.
I'll give you the best example. A lot of people are making a very big deal about it. That you're, and I felt, what's the big deal? I've been with this woman for 17 years now. Okay, theek hai, we're going to exchange rings, but we've done it already. We did all that, you know. So the moment that it hit me, that listen, there's a connection beyond. I'll just give you an example. We were shooting some video for the marriage while she was ready, and I'm supposed to walk to her and turn her, and wo jaisi meri taraf turn karti, I'm supposed to be like, wow, and blah blah blah, and I'm looking at the camera, bhai, ये सब मैं कितने सीरियल में हजारों सीन ऐसे कर चुका हूँ, मेरी तो दाएं हाथ का खेल, ये तो फिक्र मत कर, बस roll. And I'm walking towards her, और जैसे ही Ruby turned to me and looked in my eyes, Vicky, for the first time in my life, I felt like पहली बार, maybe not even the first time that we married, she was looking into my soul and I was looking into her. And you won't believe, we actually have that on video. मैं रोने लग गया.
We both cried.
We both just started crying. And I think उस वक्त क्या हुआ, it was like, over these 17 years, how many things we've been through. Again, as I said, कोई किताब या movie बनाना चाहे, they would need like 2-3 parts because there's so many things that have happened. But I feel at that point, all of those 17 years rushed. It all came and it was like, this is a clean slate now. Now we begin again. And sabse badi baat, seeing the joy that it gave to my daughter, you know, our daughter. I think that, उसमें कोई question नहीं है.
It's okay.
But seeing
she's always
that,
on mommy's side.
seeing that, I think my only example or thing that I can say to parents who are in a similar situation is, if something is worth saving, it will require effort. And sometimes हम बहुत selfish हो जाते. I feel anyway society is very selfish now. You know, we all want more, 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 and we're not happy with what we have. And sometimes we realize or don't realize the effect it has on those children. My daughter, I mean, that Shadi ke din cried so much. Her speech was so genuine from the heart, and we realized that, my God, I was thinking in the back of my mind, हम कितने बेवकूफ थे, हम क्या-क्या कर रहे थे, क्या-क्या सोच रहे थे, and now we're here at this point. So I think, it wasn't just a, as they say, let's just renew our vows. I think when we actually did that, in many ways, हमने एक नई शुरुआत की एक दूसरे के साथ, and it feels different, and so that is why I feel like now we're in a very different and special place एक दूसरे के साथ.
I want to add something to it. I don't know whether you believe in religion or a higher power. I do. I think there comes a moment in your life. I do believe in destiny. I believe, you are predestined. You're made in pairs. I'm a firm believer in that. But the choices are always left to you. And, like he said, if we were together for our daughter's sake, it wouldn't have been this today, to be honest. And second, I disagree with what he said, how we had been. I love the person I am today. I love the person he's become. So I don't have regrets. I have lessons. And if anything, I think we can give back to the youth or the society, make your mistakes your lessons. Until you do that, you're going to detour. So whether it's a relationship of two siblings or parents or husband-wife or with your children, until and unless you really face it, and that's what humans were created for. We are meant to speak to each other, communicate. And that should be our forte. But the world we live in is digital.
For me, I would agree with Amit because what he actually meant, I think, that had we married for the sake of our daughter, what he left out saying is that it would have been a compromise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both of us are.
Yeah, a sort of a compromise.
Yeah.
And
which many people do.
Yeah, of course they do.
It's not
Of course they do.
It's not a surprise, and generally आप सुनेंगे कि a lot of couples they say हम सिर्फ बच्चों के लिए हैं बच्चे, but that's the worst reason to stay together.
Yeah.
Because we think our kids are stupid, and आज की generation तो are much, but their minds are like computers. They know everything. If
they
you're
can
not
sense it in.
They know,
yeah.
and then you realize they're not afraid to voice their opinion. I think we are the generation
Yeah.
who was in between our children and our parents, who were pretty much having to cater to both people on different worlds and their different opinions. So we became maybe less aware of our own feelings.
So did you broach the subject to him, or did you tell her suddenly what she was, she was nursing the desire, as she said earlier?
She was nursing the desire. I don't think she never once ever told me, listen, ask me to marry you, because that would have killed the whole. I'm like,
See, I am a
So kya hua? Suddenly,
it was just.
you got her from the right side of the bed one day?
See, well, maybe one of the few times.
He
for me.
sleeps on the right side of the bed, by the way.
But my mind is never on the right side. So, look, what
I think a real person, any day, right or wrong, I have a man who not only accepts his flaws and mistakes, but has the guts to speak about them.
So what has changed in you, Amit? Now, she's been trying to say that you have changed.
I want to say one thing.
And
Sorry.
she said it actually.
So I'm going to say it. 17 years of marriage, he's never given me a water. Day after our wedding, he made me coffee. So yes, I have something to add.
Sarasal jhoot.
No, it came from I asked him,
Okay, but
make me a coffee, which was, for me, trust me, it was the biggest deal. And now he said, baby, we'll get a coffee maker, which we'll put in the bedroom.
मेरा काम थोड़ा easy हो जाएगा. Button दबाया नहीं.
But that can't be the reason. Come on, tell me what has changed. And I'm coming to you also because you said that you have also changed.
So how I've changed. Do you want the honest Amit Tandon answer, or do you want me to be
the honest Amit Tandon?
So the honest Amit Tandon answer is, I feel. बोल दूँ ना?
Yes, please.
I don't have a.
The honest Amit
Please
Tandon
explode.
answer. The honest Amit Tandon answer is that, look, I don't think it's a secret. I think I've been public about it as well. इन 17 सालों में I've made many mistakes in my marriage. Now अब उस mistake को आप कैसे सोचना चाहो आप सोच सकते हो. And I feel like I said, इंसान जब ये नहीं समझ पाता ना कि उसके पास क्या है और वो हमेशा बाहर की तरफ देखता रहता है, तो कभी कभी उस चीज़ की अहमियत उसको नहीं होती. तो I think what has changed in me over especially the last few years, especially seeing, it's like जब आप जानबूझ के नहीं करते, लेकिन कभी कभी किसी को आप दर्द देते हैं और आप फिर भी देखते हो कि वो आपकी तरफ कितने मतलब चट्टान की तरह खड़े रहते हैं in your favor. And when I saw that with her, I realized कि मतलब you're mad. You're running after God knows what, and you have somebody who is there with you every step of the way. जो हर तकलीफ में, हर सुख में तुम्हारे साथ है. And I think when that hit home, I realized that it's time to उस दुकान को हमेशा के लिए बंद कर दो. And I think once that hit inside, because I think that was my only, I would say, weak point. Although she may disagree, हाँ मेरा गुस्सा, maybe that too, but वो नहीं गया. But I think once that happened, I realized and I can appreciate her, that she actually deserves the way she should be appreciated, because it's not just enough in life to, हाँ मैं तुम्हारे लिए खड़ा हूँ, तुम तकलीफ में हो, मैं हूँ वहाँ पे. But अच्छे वक्त में, if you're giving her pain and if you're doing things because you're selfish, as I said, we are a selfish, like most people are just selfishly wired. हम अपने लिए सोचते हैं, मुझे ये मिल जाए, मुझे ये ज़्यादा चाहिए, इतने पैसे, इतनी गाड़ी, इतने घर, इतने ये, इतने वो. So we're always thinking more and more rather than appreciating the moment.
Yeah.
If you're on a vacation, अरे अगले साल उधर जाना, अरे भाई जहाँ हो पहले वो तो enjoy कर लो. It's like you keep moving ahead. अब ये गाड़ी ली, अब मुझे वो चाहिए, अब ये, so always. And I think that is what is destroying, frankly, humanity, because I see social media and I see things like this. अभी चीज़ें बहुत fake हो गई हैं. It's like how लोग filter लगा के एक फोटो लेते हैं. अभी it's literally like life is also like a filter.
बहुत चीजें फेक हो गई है. अभी चीजें बहुत फेक हो गई हैं. Let's reform the sentence. बहुत चीजें फेक हो गई हैं और बहुत लोग भी फेक हो गए हैं. Redo Amit Tandon. बहुत I'll tell you one point which he has said after.
Yeah, but अब मैं I don't want, मुझे कुछ वो गलत क्योंकि मैं बोलना चाह रहा हूँ, मैं वो नहीं बोलूँगा. बहुत लोग भी फेक हो गए हैं और बहुत चीजें भी उनके बारे में फेक हो गई हैं. हाँ बस थाम.
Now let me come with my deduction from whatever I know of him. He gave an answer where I realized that he has changed. He's learned to choose the right words.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, madam. You.
So both of us come from a strong background where I'm opinionated. I speak openly, and I think it also took me a journey to realize that he's the only man who nurtures who I really am. So sometimes when you lead, it comes with a responsibility. You also have to be patient. You also have to be willing, which I believe in today's relationships, women don't realize how resilient we are and how forgiving and how big our hearts are. It was not given to a man. It's not his fault. Women get into a work environment and they think they need to think like a man. They don't. They need to think like themselves, which they are the people from the heart, which we've had conversation before. Men are from the mind. So I learned to trust his judgment, which for a man is impeccable.
Which you never appreciated earlier. Correct.
And he also learned to trust my intuition, which is the clearance of your heart. So women are guided by the intuition. When a woman tells you कि ये मुझे सही नहीं लगता, वो शायद voice नहीं कर पाते क्यों सही नहीं लगता, और when the man says ये सही नहीं है, 6 महीने बाद देखना, और 6 months के बाद वो होता है.
Yeah, but what I think is, when somebody is hot-tempered, like he's saying, or maybe still is, you sometimes don't take what he's actually saying.
Yes.
It gets all camouflaged and covered and buried. with his
used
with
to-
his wrong words, etc. Whatever his
Yes.
anger.
The story of
I
my
used to say that you're your own
story of my
dushman.
life.
Yeah.
Your tongue is your biggest enemy.
Yeah.
I've always told
Yeah.
him.
So you.
So I learned to ignore what he's saying
Yeah.
and walk away and then walk right back in.
Hmm.
So when we fight, 90% of the time, it's me. Because I am the forgiving. He gave that to me in my heart.
Hmm.
What's the ego in a
Hmm.
relationship? So I don't hold back.
But
and
earlier
say-
you had that ego.
I did.
Yes,
I
yes,
did.
yes.
Because
That
I
was
used to hold his words to heart
Hmm.
and just let them play in my mind.
Did this radical change or change whatever happen solely within you alone, or did somebody help you, like your support system?
No, I
Ghar
think
pe koi any elderly person?
you know, my mom's always been that advice where she's never interfered in my, personal space. She's always been that whatever is between a couple should be private, should be in a couple, because as they say, usme padna nahi chahiye, because a couple can change the next very day and you're the odd one.
That's a very good quality.
That's my mother's given that to me, and I think that's I kept it going this time. I limited my social circle so much that I have countable friends. One is here and one I grew up with who's in Vancouver, and to be honest, we never discussed relationships
That
so
makes
much.
a very big. So just to cut off of that point, the people around you make a very big difference on how you react to situations. So they create an energy जो या तो आपकी लाइफ को सही रास्ते पे लेके जाती है और आपको भटकने पे मजबूर कर देती है, which I think certain people come and they like to see, it's like, they light a match and see what happens. And I think we had a lot of people like that in our lives who they would say something to her, say something to me, and let the situation create itself. And then we were at fault because we allowed it to escalate to certain
Yeah, आप
levels.
कान के कच्चे हैं तो फिर
Exactly.
Or
So
dono
an
hai,
intent,
yeah.
like I said, it could be when women, they like to vent, right? They need to know the difference when they're venting and who they're venting to if they like to just talk about a fight. Because that's important. So if you're talking about it within yourself, like I said, I started connecting with me. And rather than saying, I want this, or someone said this, I said, I want this. And this is what I feel. The minute I change that and he starts seeing that in my behavior, what happens for a man is a man. The minute he feels he's being cornered, he's gonna come back at you with all force, which is not even what he desires to do, because he's that guy who would literally not even 30 seconds, 10 seconds. When he loses his fuse, I just have to be quiet for the 20 seconds. Right then, baby, I'm sorry. That's important. So you have to complement each other,
Yeah.
and I think it's always down to women to make it work. My mom used to say this, and I used to say, "You're wrong," And I guess with
Yeah, but I
I
think
hope I hope the warring couples are listening in, because there are too many warring couples
a
right
lot,
now.
a lot.
I mean, and plus the institution of marriage, they don't want to get into
you
matrimony.
have to be you, and it doesn't have to be, because the journey is still, Vicky, you are with yourself. Even when you're sleeping, you're with yourself, and the other person is a part of your life, is not the entire life, and vice versa.
I'm not being judgmental that the institution of marriage has to be a part of your life, but I'm seeing the aversion to it,
But
which is quite unhealthy.
It has to
Very-
be solidified again, and I
Yeah.
think, but like only thing I
Well, I
disagree
think
is it's not just a woman's job to be the forgiving one or the understanding
yeah.
one. क्योंकि हम मर्द अगर हमें लगने लगेगा कि मुझे जो करना है मैं करूँगा, I will do as I feel, I will say as I feel. There is a tipping point for a woman,
Yeah,
and once
yeah.
that tipping point happens, then there's no turning back. So
But
I-
that happened.
Yeah, it happened. I mean,
that happened.
yeah.
So like I said, it's I don't say the whole rule about 50-50. No, there are days where he's only bringing in 30, and I have to be there 70. There are
इसने-
days I'm only bringing in 30.
ये कोई
And
फिल्म का डायलॉग
that he brings in,
Film ka dialogue.
that he brings in 70. So you have to meet halfway.
give and take,
That's it.
give and take. It's-
That's fine, but the trauma you underwent, enough has been written about it. What did it teach you? Let me ask you a blunt question here. Did you realize who are your friends? and who are not your friends?
Absolutely. I think, when you, like he said, when you don't learn,
And I'm talking about friends, not relatives.
when you talk about other relatives too.
Relatives too.
Oh.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, so I'll tell you what it is. When God keeps giving you chances, He taps on your hand. Okay, so if you're a believer, you're meant to learn a lesson and take away from it. But when you don't do it, then He does the job and He removes clutter out of your life. I think that's what happened to me. I knew the right and the wrong. I knew the right friends and not so right friends. And I accepted them because I'm a very accepting person. I've always been that. I came
ठीक है.
from, a family. I lost my father very young. I always wanted to have the happiness part of it. So I don't think I play devil's advocate. I'll take you for your word. I'll let you.
ठीक है. You
Be
had
that.
you had a large circle of friends.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then?
In that, when obviously the situation arise and a lot of people left. You asked me this question when I came, and you asked to that let's sit down and talk about it, and I told you that I don't want to talk about it because today you understand why I said I don't want to talk about it. It wasn't that I wanted to talk about. I was processing the letting go part of my life that I had to, and I had to become this person. I love who I am. In the mirror, I can hold the gauge and be proud of who I have become. Am I more patient? Absolutely. Have I learned to filter people? Yes, because when you come into this, which when people come, I cannot be anything. It's all or nothing. I'm that kind of human being.
You experienced that you were calling them and they were not answering your calls when you came back?
I don't think I called people, but the messages lessened.
You see that. You
Or you called them in her absence
they
didn't take the call.
No, there were a few which don't need to be named, but there were a few people, yes, during that time.
You don't want me to name them?
There's no point.
There's a person above who
I was about to name one or two.
No, you don't need to. I
Sure.
always say when the true growth is to let go and evolve. I think we're in a happy zone of our life. Listen, a journalist can really be honest and open, say, listen, I really got to know you through the journey and I'm really sorry. You had the guts to say that to me.
Yeah, and okay, well, let me just
And
ask you some questions. I remember in between you had messaged me as well that
But you killed my next question, so I'm a slightly disappointed man
Achha,
right now.
So you had messaged me in between. I think it's quite some time ago. I don't remember, maybe
No names will be taken.
But you had mentioned to me that I've heard that there's issues going on, and I'm like, yeah, Isko, how is he asking this question now? And the reason why is because I feel like a lot of people during the time we got back together had this feeling, they're together, but they're still not really together. It's like in their mind, it was kind of like, like you said, just for the kid, for the child, they've come back, but that's not a reason.
But it's not easy also.
It's
I
not
mean,
easy.
it's not.
It's not,
See, this I don't think is a worldly opinion.
No, but like you said.
I think when I said, and I said it from, I said it from my side also. It's not easy because if the relationship has reached to a point of separation, and then bring it back, it can't just be. It's not a curtain that you pull it down
Absolutely
one
can't.
second.
It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, a lot of understanding, and it takes. Sometimes it just takes your mind to work in a different manner, and sometimes that happens with age, with maturity. Sometimes it happens with situations. I think a lot of these things can affect us. Like you were mentioning friends. Over time, initially I was very bitter, very angry, but I realized that I'm giving them more importance by doing that. It got to a point where I said to myself, they've gone, God has removed them from our life, and that's for the best, because had they remained, maybe the problems would have remained,
But
maybe the issues would have remained.
Sorry, but right ones entered at the same space. Maybe they were accountable ones.
There's some who, like
They entered.
saints, and
They stood up when
I didn't expect them to. I'm like, I was like, they're not gonna, and then they ended up being there like all throughout. So as I said, when your mind is right, you see right from wrong. When you're clouded with judgment, you make mistakes. You trust the wrong people.
And you keep choosing the wrong option.
Well, it's not only there that when times are good, when you're partying or when you've, celebrating, tab everybody comes to enjoy. It's those moments when you're alone, and especially during the time when Gianna, our daughter, and me were alone. There are a few people that I was like, I thought to myself, यार अगर ये होते तो ये जो तकलीफ हो रही है
थोड़ा शेयर हो जाती
वो शेयर हो जाती and it wasn't तकलीफ for me. Being a man, you can filter it in a different way. But for my daughter, she needed familiar faces at that time to be able to know, because it was very difficult for me at that time. I go to shoot and all of a sudden I get a call कि Gianna बहुत रो रही है and she's missing her mom, and same time I'm getting a call from her and she's very upset, and you're speaking to lawyers and they're like, oh, we're trying this, we're doing this, इतने पैसे आपको भेजने पड़ेंगे, and so it's like,
and still it's not working quickly,
and you're being hit from 10 sides, and so then there is some point where you're like, what is going on? And if only some of those people would have been there, genuinely, not for a media click or something, but generally be there when the child needs you, so it's not my personal grudge with them. I just feel like mere liye my daughter is everything, and if you couldn't be there for her at those moments, I don't want you there, period. And same thing with her. If you couldn't be there when she needed you the most, now when she's doing great again and everything is fantastic, ab to apni shakal bhi mat dikhana. It's like, I'll be standing at the door and I won't let you in. And in fact, I told her this. When we got back together, initially, पहले 5-6 महीने में I told her, देख, मैंने उंगली पे से ये
मैंने लिस्ट बना दी है,
ये सामने आएंगे तो फिर भाई वापस फिर
I used to say, I want me with you. So,
gone.
But I like I said, that it's in that phase is when you learn, and at the maybe you don't learn how to let go and evolve beyond that. But I experienced loss very early. I was 10 when I lost my father. So I come from that mindset that in happiness, it's okay if you don't attend. But when you've experienced loss and then you're not there during those times, then shame on you for being a human or ever a friend to someone. So the only time you're tested is when someone's going through a tragedy or a tough time. And if you are not there, then the whole meaning of friendship goes, relationship goes, family goes. So it's only those few times, and I consider myself privileged and honored that I've never bailed out on a friend when they were down.
Ever.
And if someone bailed out on me, it's they weren't cut out. God didn't allow them. So they were never meant to be there, because the ones that are there for me, were there for me, came from even a normal patient who was a client showed up and I was shocked. So I gained a lot, and gain is me. I actually understood who I am, and once you understand in your lifetime, I think everything just falls
but
into
hats
place.
off to you that you still did not go down on your work. You continued to work, you continued to churn out albums even now. I mean, of course, now so you're back to being together. But I'm saying that one, and secondly, the way you came back and re-emerged as a successful doctor. So how did,
I'm going to answer this
were you apprehensive, about getting back into that full flow and the clients coming back? I mean, this happens.
Please, this
happens. This happens.
मेरे दिल में वो बात है. Let me just say this and then I'm sorry to cut you off again. Vicky, I wanted to say this to you before as well, but when you asked this question, people always ask me, who's your inspiration? And I guess over my life, maybe my grandparents were definitely an inspiration. You look at your father, you look at your mother, you look at certain actors and things like that. But if I genuinely look at somebody and I say, I want to have the willpower and the internal strength, it's this woman right here.
Yeah.
Who I'm very lucky to have as my wife, because like you asked, were you worried? I was worried. Even when she came back, I was like, yeah, what will she do? Will she have to go back to Canada? या क्या करेगी? It was always a doubt.
नहीं वो सवाल तो आते ही है ना.
But I'll tell you, वो सवाल मेरे अंदर तो हर वक्त पे आया. I don't think ever once she was broken. Not once did she question कि ये कैसे होगा. She had
बस वही मैं पूछ रहा हूँ.
belief in herself and in
You know, I think intent.
Was there a point, it's not happening?
So I'll tell you, no. Honestly, there was
It must have taken
people
its time.
waiting
Yeah.
for me to get back, and which was I think within 10 days of me getting back, I was already flying to do a private treatment in London. So there was this unconditional trust and faith in the people, patients, client I treated over the years, and I didn't even have time, but like I said, intent is everything. When you have the right intent and you do have the right support system, and he's definitely the wind beneath my wings, and there's no two ways about it, and that's all you need. You honestly don't need 10 people to believe in you, you need one. But the biggest person you need to believe is yourself. So I've always had clear intent, clear mindset, and clarity when it came to, I would rather, like, I can never do a treatment which does not get justified to me. And I'm a completely OCD perfectionist. So if I feel that you haven't gotten the right results, I am going to redo it without charging you. I am that person. So I think that's what, end of the day, it's your deeds and it's your mindset, it's your heart. So when I came back, I was literally pushed by every client in saying start again. And when I started my practice full-fledged, and I used to joke with my staff, and I used to tell my team that, listen, the new person's coming, let them know that Google me. I've been that person. Ever since
you were
I've been
so
back,
transparent.
ever since I've come back, there's never been a consult in these 3 years that I haven't sat down and spoken to. Every time they came a new person, I told them, this is what you should know. This is what, and they looked at me that we've come here, we don't need to know. As a physician, as a doctor, they have already come in, booked an appointment. They have put their trust in me. Now it's my turn to give that to them. So I take it upon me, and God's kind, and so are.
I'll conclude this with 3 things. With him, I think the healing is the music.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, and finally, I can
And
say my husband
for
sings
you,
really
what
well.
works is what works and has worked is, as they say, if you have faith in your doctor, you will continue to have that faith.
Yes.
And half the healing is done for the patient
Exactly.
as long as that faith has been strong enough. So I think you had that loyal clientele, if I can use that word,
Yeah, absolutely.
set of patients who had faith in you.
Yes.
And I'll just repeat, बहुत सारी चीज़ें fake है. Trust me, if people are still calling you and saying they are very happy for you, there are some in those who are still jealous of you. Thank you. Thank you, Amit.
Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you, Ruby. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
this
so
interview.
much. Thank you. I gained a friend, huh? In all of this,
Thank you.
I genuinely gained a friend. So thank you.
Thank you.